life is about experiences.
Yes.
Like, life just gets richer with more experiences. So if you sit in your same little box with your same group of friends, nothing grows from your comfort zone. We hear that all the time, but it's so true.
One of the things that I found to be the most exciting after having started this process is being recognized. And when I come into a situation in which I'm talking to someone who knows who I am, sometimes they just need like a little bit of reminder, something to trigger them to be like, oh, that's you. And it was at the Cleveland social event where you had done that for me. And that made me feel so good about myself.
Yeah, it was so organic too, because I was like, it all happened so fast.
Yes.
Like, someone said your name and I was like, wait, run that by me again. I was like, SmileTalk with Jacob. Like, I was like, I follow that.
Yes.
It was so cool.
Well, it's funny because you had actually wound up saying, oh, you're Jacob Smiles.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I kind of want that name. That sounds like a really cool
Rebrand.
name. Exactly. I'll just change like the name in the bio on my Instagram to be like Jacob Smiles from SmileTalk with Jacob.
I love that. I love that.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on this with me. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Happy to be here.
And without further ado, who is Kierra Cotton?
Oh, man. So many things come to mind, but first and foremost, I am a daughter. I'm a sister. And then by trade, I'm a reporter and host.
I don't think you know how much you do and the impact that you have on everyone that you provide so much value to.
Oh, thank you. I show up. That's all I can say.
I think one of the things that I was most excited to speak to you about today was the involvement that you have with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
When I grew up, Nicole was always that girl for me that was on the screen when I would show up. And it's so fun to think that now you are that girl for someone.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
How does one even go about getting an opportunity as such?
Yeah, honestly, it just happened to be preparation meets opportunity. So as you know, like, I work as a reporter for KYC. So I had done a story on a guy who was a graphic designer for the Cavs at the time. He's since left and gone on to do bigger and better things. Shout out to Jay Wallace. I love him. He's great. But he actually let me know when that job posted to their like internal board or whatever. And he's like, hey, like, I had an amazing experience with you during my story, and I just think that you would be great. I had never hosted a thing in my life. I'd never hosted anything. I mean, I grew up in high school. So my background is competitive cheer and dance. So during high school, I was very front facing. Like, public speaking was normal for me. So like, I wasn't nervous about that per se, but had I ever hosted anything professionally? No. So that was in 2020. So he let me know that the job posted. So I just said, screw it. Like, the world is crazy right now, so we might as well give it a go. So I literally just applied for the job and then got a call back. I went to the audition. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my entire life. That arena holds 18,000 plus people. It was completely empty. There was a mod and 2 other facilitators that are like the head of like game operations, and then 3 other applicants or, you know, people vying for the job. In an empty arena, they're like, here's this script and deliver. So I'm sitting there like, and there's video of it too.
Online, like now?
It exists in the Cavs cloud somewhere.
Okay.
But there's literally me like holding the script, and you can see the paper shaking in my hand. Like, I was so nervous because there's this girl, I will never forget. I remember exactly who the people were. There was this guy who was like a radio talk show kind of guy. There was a girl that was like a former Cavs team dancer, and then a DJ. So all of these people that had experiences before, but I just went up there and I was just like, hey, I'm going to give it my best shot. And, you know, I've been doing news for several years. Like, I think I have the talent. So, you know, just show my personality. And that happened. And then I actually know Ahmad on a personal level. So he was there, and it was kind of like, how did you think I did? And he was very diplomatic. Like, he was very like, you know, give or take, we don't know. And then I get a call from him maybe like a week later. He's like, hey, have you heard anything yet? And I said, no. Should I have heard something? And he's like, oh, my bad. I'll call you right back. So at that point, I was kind of like, I don't know if that's good or if that's bad, but literally like an hour later, I got a call from like the head of game ops saying like, "Hey, you did fantastic. Like, welcome to the team."
Yes.
So that's how that happened. Honestly, it was of no control of my own. Like, I didn't know anything about hosting, didn't know anything about the job prior to the graphic designer telling me like, "Hey, this job is posted." I wasn't looking for anything else at the time. So yeah, just kind of walked into it.
That's insane. Now it's you, and then Nicole is still participating within it.
Yeah.
And
Sandra is the other girl.
Yes. And then shame on me for not knowing, because he's another person that I grew up with seeing on the screen. But what's the gentleman's name?
Ahmad.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I mean, what a hype man.
Yeah. They're Cleveland staples. I mean, yes. They're absolutely icons. And like, just like how you said, I am that face for somebody that is growing up now. And I think that that's just such an honor and privilege that even going into my third season, like I still haven't quite wrapped my head around it. And it's so bizarre too, because I get recognized more for my Cavs work than I do for working at Channel 3. Like, I think it's sign of the times, like, but it's such a unique experience. And I mean, that's part of the reason why I do it is, representation matters. And I'm just happy to be up there. I get up there every game and I'm like, I literally get paid to have fun and watch basketball.
Right. Well, and it was like the preseason game that I was at, like I texted you and I was just like, hey, like, I didn't know how much time you did or didn't have, but I'm like, hey, if you've got a minute, like swing by and come say hey. And you're like, yeah, let me finish up my snack and I'll be right over. I was like, that's awesome.
And that's my favorite part. Like, I love when people come to the games. I'm like, come see me, come say hi. Like, that just like fuels the energy and the vibes in the arena. Like, the people make the experience. I don't know if people know how much of an impact they have on our like show rundown, but it's just like we base everything off the vibe of the crowd. So everyone has been to a game where we haven't been doing as well, and you can feel, the heaviness and like everyone's begrudgingly here. But when that arena is, prime example, playoff basketball, like when that arena is alive, you literally can, it's electric. Like, it's an insane feeling. I get excited just thinking about it.
It's amazing. Now, did you grow up in Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm a hometown girly.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So you are literally over here. And so I'd imagine that they were some of the people that you saw when you were growing up. And now you're working alongside them.
Yeah, it's so trippy. Like I tell Ahmad and I talk about it often, and Nicole too. It's just because I was the first hire that they had ever done since Ahmad and Nicole joined the team. So we're talking about 15 plus years of dedication to an organization. And I'm the first person that they bring in as a supplemental element to this role. So a huge, responsibility and just, again, an honor to work alongside them because, like you said, I grew up watching these people. Like, Ahmad started off, like, on the Scream team. He tells the story all the time. Like, he started off as a dancer, and, like, one day the host called out sick, and he just got his opportunity, and it's crazy. And, like, now he is the voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, you can't go anywhere in that arena and not hear his voice. So it's, like, we call him, like, kind of the god of the Rocket Mortgage. Like how Morgan Freeman is, like, the god of everything else.
So talk more about what it is that you do there. Like, what are the activities and what are the promotions that you're putting on?
Yeah, so we do everything from, so technically my title is in-game host or in-arena host, and we basically welcome fans to Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse. So our job is to control the fan experience. So that includes letting them know about upcoming promotional items, things that you can get at the games. That includes letting them know about our 50-50 raffle, just pulling the fan into the fold when it comes to game experience. And that also includes everyone's favorite part, the games. The on-court games are the biggest hits. So everything from Hungry Hungry Hippos to Deal or No Deal, everyone loves that. Skee ball, tic-tac-toe, we play a little bit of everything. So yeah, doing all that good stuff.
I was telling you about that date with the Italian woman that I was on before we started recording, and I think it was during the timeouts.
Okay,
she Google translated over to me. She was like, "Is the game over?"
She had no idea what was going on.
She didn't know what basketball was.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I guess sports overseas is just a whole different ball game. Like, it's not as popularized as, they're like, we have the beautiful outdoors, and we're like, let's go inside and watch people play with balls.
Right. That's why I asked her. I said, like, what sports do you have out there? And
Yeah.
she said it's pretty much, at least mainstream wise, just soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
And I was like, well, if I was living on the coast of Italy or Sicily, I would probably not be at this basketball game either.
Exactly.
Yes.
But Cleveland is making a pitch to get a soccer team. So
I saw
we'll
that.
See.
Do you know much about that?
No.
Okay.
I just know that they had some representatives come and visit last year, and that was kind of a big deal, like from a national standpoint. But the details of it, I do not know.
Yeah. Now, are you strictly doing this stuff for the Cavs, or is it everything that happens within the arena?
What do you mean?
Like you've got the Lake Erie Monsters.
Strictly for the Cavs.
Strictly for the Cavs.
Yeah, so this will be my third season for the Cavs and my first season with the Charge, which is our G League team. It used to be called D League. I literally just learned this. At some point, it changed from D League to G League, but I don't know what the G stands for, but the D used to stand for development. So it's like...
So it made sense.
Right. I'm like, now I don't know what that G stands for. So
everything's changing names for what, in my case, seems to be like for no apparent reason.
I agree.
It's like, okay, well, so it's
like Jacob
thing?
Smiles.
Right.
We're going to change the name of the podcast.
Oh, goodness. Now, when you are not within Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse, you are on WKYC.
Correct.
And you said you just recently transitioned over to the morning show.
Yeah.
Those are some interesting hours from what I've heard.
2 a.m. to 10 a.m. So much fun.
How did that opportunity come about?
I started at KYC in 2016. I got hired right out of college.
Yeah.
I started off as what they call an audience engagement specialist, which is really just a glorified receptionist that does content from time to time. But I was just looking for a way to get my foot in the door. I graduated from Ohio University. Go Bobcats, We talked about that a little bit too, but it's okay. So yeah, I was just looking for a way to get my foot in the door in the media landscape. Yeah. And then I did that for about 3 months, and then a position on our digital team opened up. So I did digital and social for 4.5, almost 5 years for KYC. And then in 2020, everything happened for me in 2020, honestly. I was just like, the world is going to so let's roll with the punches. So I started with the Cavs, and then I took on my first on-air opportunity with KYC full-time. And from there, you kind of just grow and evolved, and more opportunities came to be. So I joined the weekend morning show, I would say, halfway through 2021. And then so with that, growing in that role, I just transitioned to more days a week than just 2 days a week. So now I do 4 days a week with a special projects day where I can work on cool stories.
Yeah. How do you determine what stories you're working on?
For me, it's just a feeling and a vibe. I'm always looking for. That's why I always tell people, like, working for the Cavs is such a goal of mine because you meet so many interesting people. But I'm always looking for ideas. My DMs are always open for the non-weirdos. Please,
right?
Please don't be weird. But yeah, just finding cool people who have unique stories that are willing to share them with me. It's really on the onus of the people who are sharing their stories with me. I appreciate it so much. And I just get so much. That's why I do it, is to learn more about people and be able to convey their story to our audience.
Yeah. It's funny because Lydia Troy, who we just got done recording an episode with that is yet to be released at this point in time, she kind of asked me, why did you start this? And I gave you a little bit of an idea as to why I started it, but part of why I continue to do it is because of the stories that I have heard from the people who have told them right here in front of me.
Yeah, it's such an electric feeling too. I mean, and not everybody, I don't think everybody has that same receptiveness to hearing other people's stories. So I think it's a very unique talent. But I just get so much joy out of learning about people. Why are you the way you are? What happened throughout the course of your life that you ended up here? And I think that you can probably share that same sentiment with the stories that you've heard. And I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a business opening or, someone overcoming a tragedy. I think that both stories hold the same weight and deserve to be told. So, yeah. That's why we do it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what's incredible in my eyes is the willingness that people have to share their stories. Because there's two ways of looking at it. One, you have just an incredible story based off of maybe the opportunity that was presented to them, or maybe the obstacles that they overcame. But there's also like a level of vulnerability
1,000%.
to a lot of these stories. And I am sometimes like surprised by how much people are willing to open up in front of me.
But that's a testament to your own talent. I hope you receive that.
I appreciate that.
Like it's a comfort that you are providing. So I want you to, it's not just people's willingness. I want you to take onus of like, you have this skill and this knack for creating a comfortable environment that makes it easy for people to share.
That means so much to me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And, you know, I hope to utilize that skill to continue all of this. I mean, gosh, when I started this, I reached out to like a couple very close people and I said, you know, there's this project that I want to start.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know exactly who it would be for, what it would accomplish, and wherever it would go. And I certainly didn't think that it would hit this level in the scope of, you know, having you in front of me sharing your story. Like, you know, because it's funny, like I would say that I've always been big on social media in terms of being like a consumer.
Got it.
So I know through Instagram a bunch of the socialites that are in the Cleveland area. But, you know, it's like selfishly, it's so cool for me to be able to speak with them, speak with you in the manner that we are, that just couldn't happen when we were at, like the Cleveland social event, or, you know, if we're at just like the Browns game, or if we're passing through the streets, we can't have conversations like this.
Right. The meaningful conversations, the conversations that are, you know, beyond surface level. Like,
yes.
But it's so important. Again, like that's why I was stoked to do it. So I'm happy to be here. And I also don't think I've ever been called a socialite. So hey, you know, but yeah, I was stoked to do it. Like I think it's an amazing platform that you've created, and it gives people an opportunity to show who they are beyond social media. Like you said, like we're all such heavy consumers of social media, but I think that a lot of times it can be very specific and very like a highlight reel. It's not always authentic or transparent, but like if you follow me on social media, I try to get on there and show the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. Like you might get Kierra with no makeup, you might get Kierra like fresh out of skating practice. Like you just never know. But I try to bring that authenticity. But again, you are providing an amazing platform for people to know these socialites beyond the screen.
Well, I give 1,000% credit to Colin Stevens, because when I started out, I rapid fired off a couple emails to a select few people, and literally within a couple minutes he responded, and I'm like, let's go, let's go. And then I was like, oh wait, I gotta read the email. What did he say? And then he said he was open to the opportunity, and we recorded our episode, and then he introduced me to Rebecca, and then Rebecca introduced me to Natalie, and then through the Cleveland social that Natalie has been putting on, that's where I met you in person for the first time, and that's what led us to going ahead and scheduling this.
Can I blow your mind for a second?
Yes.
So get this. So I've known Rebecca since high school. We go way back. And I know Colin because Colin's dad used to coach my baby brother in basketball. So we're talking like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So like everything comes full circle. So you listed just literally off of some of my favorite people, because Natalie and I became friends because I knew Rebecca.
Yeah.
And I've known Rebecca for over 10 years. Yeah, it's crazy. Everything's all full circle.
Isn't that
it's
crazy?
meant to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she continues to amaze me. Rebecca has been able to put on events and do things around the Cleveland area that are so impressive. But it's also kind of weird, I think, in a way, to experience and be within her life for the time period that I have been, because there've been changes in her life. You know, with her, it's like since I've known her it's only then where she really started the girls' room. And I'm so happy to see 2-1 Thrift absolutely exploding.
Yeah.
And now with what it is that she has with the Welcome to the Farm, she transitioned from Velvet Dog. It's like there were so many things that she already had going on, and there are so many changes. And what I love for her is that it seems as though it's all stuff that is helping her grow.
Yeah. I tell her all the time, like, she is such an inspiration to me, just because I've watched, again, we've been friends since high school. Like, I watched this girl, like, cut up T-shirts for cheer games, like, in high school. So to see that transform into a business, and then to, be one of we call ourselves the OG, like, the OG girls' room girls, like, we were there for the wine and cheese party where it was just 10 of us, like, where we were stuffed into her little downtown Cleveland apartment. And now we get to attend these events where there are 200 people at these events. Like, the green party was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I'm going to toot my friend's horn. Like, her ability to connect people in such an authentic and genuine way is something that I think everyone should aspire to do. Like, if we could all have just, like, 5% of, like, Rebecca kind of, like, extrovert kind of people person in us, I think we would all be much kinder to one another because we would genuinely know one another. But yeah, follow the girls' room, come to the events. I'm always there. I'm like a brand ambassador at this point. Like, every Browns home game, I'm a 2-1 Thrift ambassador. Every outfit, check my Instagram. The links are all there. So I fully support my girl.
Now, are you going to be at the one that's being hosted this Sunday at Clamper?
The Cleveland Browns Babes, and yeah, because I work closely with the Cleveland Vibes team as well. And like I said, I met Natalie through Rebecca, so all of my favorite people in one place, plus football. So yeah.
I'll see you there.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, I 100% bought tickets.
We love that.
Me?
Yeah. I think that's going to be, and it's the first co-ed event, so I think it'll be really fun and exciting. So I hope people come out and enjoy it. Yeah.
So how did you wind up getting linked up with Cleveland Vibes?
Through Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Yeah. So they saw some of my work with KYC too, and I mean, Rebecca would invite me as like a +1 to their events sometimes. And just Katie and Kyle are just amazing. The people that run that, they have taken Cleveland by storm and have just put an amazing spotlight. And again, like what you're doing, like bringing socialites, we keep using that word, socialites together, but for amazing ways to highlight Northeast Ohio. And I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of content that it seems like they push out. Yeah. And I'm happy for them because they're exploding on the social media platforms. Sure. And it's funny because I like to use this as a little bit of a segue into recognition. And you've been recognized as an Emmy Award winner 3 times. Yeah. What for?
So the first one I ever got was for the East Cleveland house explosion. The last one that I got, the third one is escaping me right now as I sit here, but the last one that I got was for a collaborative effort called A Turning Point. Okay. And it was basically an LGBTQ plus special that we did that I was super proud of. My story was about this person from the School of One, which is like the LGBTQ high school inside the Greater Cleveland Center. It's in Gordon Square, I believe. Okay. But yeah, I was really proud of that one. Now come back to me on the third one because it's escaping me right now as I sit here.
Yes. Now, are those annual events or because they're hosted somewhere?
So every year, so there's different chapters of Emmys. So like there's national chapters and then there are regional chapters, the national Emmys, and then there are regional chapters. So we are a part of the Great Lakes chapter, so it can go from Michigan, Indy to here in Ohio. So last year it was actually here in Westlake. Really? So I don't know where the next one will be, but they rotate chapters.
Yeah. That's got to be fun because it's something that not a lot of people get to experience. Yeah. It's an award that very few get to hold.
Yeah. It's a nice little flex. Like when people come to my house, they're like, is that an Emmy? Like, I'm like, yeah, pretty shiny hardware. It's cool.
Yes. Yes. And you're doing it within the city that you grew up in, that you love, that you are impacting. Do you see yourself staying here for pretty much forever? What do you see for yourself?
Growing up and be able to make my dreams come true in my hometown is something that I will value forever. It's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. I lost my grandfather in September to Alzheimer's, dementia, that whole little ball game of things. And the one thing that sticks with me is that every day he could come in his nursing home and like turn me on TV. Like it was like the highlight of his day, like the way to jog his memory. He knew that I was going to be on TV. So I will be forever grateful to Cleveland and for Channel 3 for allowing me to have that experience with my grandfather. As for if I'm going to stay, I think I need to spread my wings for several reasons. But I think the one that is most prevalent to me is that I just want to prove that I can do it somewhere else other than my hometown. I think that here in Cleveland, we all know we get hometown favor. I think that I know that I work hard, but I also know that I get the head nods. Like, oh, Kierra, the girl from Cleveland, like she's been around forever. Like I have that. So I just want to go somewhere where no one knows me and still reach the same pinnacles of success. Challenge myself. I'm the girl that always wants more. So I would love to come back home and settle down, raise a family here in Cleveland. I love Cleveland. I think it's fantastic. I'm not one of those people that's like mistake by the lake, like begrudgingly. Like I love Cleveland. I think we have so much to offer. But in terms of my own career and professional development, I would love to. Chicago's my next like destination, dream city. So good vibes out there for all the people in Chicago.
Well, I just don't think that you give yourself enough credit if that's every bit of kind of what you feel, because yes, we do have some bit of that hometown advantage, but it's your skill level. It's your ability to be as charismatic as you are, to be able to put you in the position and see the success that you have up until this point. And I need you to recognize that.
Thank you.
But at the same time, I think what's super fun is that because you are so charismatic, because you will do what you need to make it work, I have no doubt in my mind that you'll be successful within any city that you go to, because there's just no way that you wouldn't be.
Thank you. Yeah, yes. I appreciate that. I think that goes for Clevelanders, Midwesterners in general. We just have a certain grit and tenacity that is just different. Yeah. Just different. So I appreciate you saying that, though. Yeah. I really do.
Can I tell you where I'm a little disappointed?
Sure.
You couldn't have chosen like a warmer place, like someplace that doesn't have a winter.
So you see, the thing is like Cleveland cold now is different than Cleveland cold when we were growing up.
Fair.
Because global warming, it exists. But I just kind of feel like if I could take the cold here, I can take it anywhere. Like a little Chicago wind isn't going to hurt me, But I have a friend that just moved to Jacksonville from Cleveland after living here for like 6 years. And she was like, it's the greatest thing I've ever done. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to be all 4 seasons in warmth. Like don't get me wrong. I would love a warmer climate, but I also like hustle and bustle of cities. And I think that in order to get the warmth, you have to go to the South, and the South just moves slower. Like my family's originally from Alabama, so I would never go back to Alabama. Like, sorry, that sounds awful, but but like it just moves slower, and I like the fast. I'm a city girl, like not in terms of JT and Carisha, but just in terms of like living in an urban area.
That's fair. My brother moved out to California right after college, and he's been there for the last 4 years, and he enjoys it, but what he misses is the family. He wants to be around my mom, dad, brother, or my mom, dad, and sister, Emmy. Maybe
you too.
Yeah. I'll throw myself in the ring. But I get that, because that's what I always said. I go, well, if I didn't have the career that I have, and if my family wasn't living here, then I'd 100% punch my ticket for better weather. But both of those things are strong enough within what I value that I'm going to be here. But, damn, like when I see his
Cleveland
Instagrams,
winters aren't even that bad anymore. Like
that's so
we
true.
get like 1 or 2 snows a year now, and like hire somebody to plow your driveway, you'll be fine.
But to your point, or to argue your point, I would rather there be snow and it be cold than it be cold and there no snow.
I mean, I see your point, but like I would argue that like if it's just cold, nothing really changes except for your wardrobe. when it's cold and it snows, you're dealing with traffic, like boots, like there's so much more that comes, like commute time, like waking up earlier, like I'll take, it could be blistering, it can be -10, and I'll still be like, well, I'm going from my car, my phone lets me start my car, turn on the heat, I'm going from my house to my car to my job that also has heat, like I'll take it.
That's so fun. I mean, I think what we experience here in Cleveland is just a sense of community.
Yeah.
So, and part of that, to use a word that you use, like the grit that we have as Clevelanders. I mean, we've got the Browns, we've got the Cavs, we've got the Guardians. There's so much that we have that's centered around not only the sports, even though it is a huge side of it, but like we rally together as a city no matter what's going on.
Cleveland against the world, baby.
I know. Which is why I'm so happy that there are more and more organizations that pop up that are bringing people together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't think you can have too much of that. I think the more that we unite, the better our economic ecosystems get. Like you just meet more people. There's more connections. There's more knowledge being exchanged. Like I just think that I never want to be in the same group of people, you know, just rehashing the same thing. Like bring somebody new. Who did you meet off the street? Welcome in a stranger. You know what I mean? Like you never know what you can learn from someone. Like I'm a huge proponent of like this saying, like you can learn from the janitor, you can learn from the CEO. Like don't discriminate against anybody. I'm like, I can hang out with anybody at this point in my career, like not my career, my life, just generally speaking. So I agree with you. Community is huge.
And I'm glad that you brought up like meeting new people and doing new things because, you know, a lot of my friends from college, they're not from the Cleveland area. They were coming in from California. They were coming in from Indianapolis, Columbus, Chicago. And there was one other girl that went to Miami that actually wound up like transferring out within a year. So, and then once I moved back, a lot of my high school friends were moving out to like DC, or they were going to Chicago, or they were going down to Columbus. So it kind of brought in this new dynamic of like rediscovering Cleveland. And I think it took some time for me to understand where it was that I wanted to be and who it was that I wanted to hang out with. But I think that gave me the time that I needed to understand like who I am, what I wanted. And I think that it's super nice to be able to supplement learning who I am with those events that, you know, are being hosted around Cleveland.
Yeah, life is about experiences. Like life just gets richer with more experiences. So if you sit in your same little box with your same group of friends, nothing grows from your comfort zone. We hear that all the time, but it's so true. And I just think people should lean into that. Lean into the uncomfortable. Like I'm such a proponent of like going to places by myself. Anybody that knows me knows that like most events that you see me at, I'm by myself. And people think it's so weird. I'm like, yes, I know a lot of people and I have friends. Trust me, I'm okay. I promise. But like I enjoy like challenging myself. Like just putting yourself out there. Strike up a conversation with someone new. Like you never know like how a conversation can change your life. It might be that little nugget, the little bit of encouragement. Like you said, me running into you, like you never know how those interactions are going to shape your life or even your future experiences. So I welcome that 1,000%.
How do you find out about a lot of these things that you choose to go to?
Oh, I'm big on social. I scroll. I'm a doom scroller. And then I also think that my job helps me stay in the loop. Like I get so many press releases and emails just in regards to people looking for coverage for events or just wanting to let us know about things that are happening because my weekend reporting segments focus solely around, outside of breaking news, they focus solely around the events and things that are happening. Like I've been to an alpaca farm. I went to a haunted house last week, or, you know, a new pizza week is coming up. So we're planning for that kind of stuff. So like people want to engage and get their business, you know, it's like a free promo. So that's how I found out about a lot of things. So I would say work and then social media. Like I just try to stay tapped in and abreast of everything that's happening.
Yeah. Well, and it's super fun that you share as much as you do on social media because people are following along with what it is that you're doing. I saw, I think it was yesterday, you had posted like a Ask Me Anything.
Yeah.
And those are always fun because you get things that you're just like, oh, I never would have thought I'd been asked that before. And then I'm sure that you got a few where it's like, I shouldn't have been asked that.
Yeah.
With a couple of those weirdos that slide in.
You exercise discernment on those. Like some of them like delete message. But yeah, you do get some really good ones. And I mean, I try to, I've been doing a lot of new hosting, so I've gained a little bit more of a following recently. But I like to try to reintroduce myself to people and like just give them the opportunity to say like, why am I even following this girl? You know, just because I mean, I feel like that's my personal social experience. Like I really try to be cognizant of like who I'm following and like what they're sharing, because a lot of things can get convoluted and dark. But just try to be proactive and letting people know like, hey, this is what I'm about. This is what I do. And then if you have questions, feel free to ask me. I'm an open book. Like I said, I try to be authentic and transparent. I think everyone knows like I'm the reporter that wears sneakers, or, you know, I don't know. I'm a rebel without a cause in my own way.
Yes. No, and you're so right. And I don't think enough people recognize exactly what you just said and take it into account. And that's the fact that you're consistently meeting new and new people every day, or you're getting new and new followers, especially in your case, or like even with like my podcast account, like, you know, I've got probably 150 new followers that haven't seen half of the episodes that I release, just because they're coming in at a time frame that's after I've already released so much. So it's funny because it makes me think about how not that I've gotten away from, but I sometimes like forget to, like I did today, like introduce the podcast and talk about what it is, because you know, if someone were to pop on, they'd be like, oh, wow, they just really dove into a conversation. Like, wait, what's this about?
How do we get here?
Here? So I think reintroducing yourself is great. But what it also does is it allows you to recalibrate who it is that you view yourself as.
Yeah. I've been working a lot with that. So I'm a big like mental health advocate. Like, I know that healthcare in America is trash capital, but I'm such a proponent. Like, if you can afford a therapist, get one. No matter what stage you're going, you don't have to be going through something catastrophic or traumatic in your life to need a therapist. So me and my therapist are besties. We go together real bad. And I just think that we've been working, me personally in my sessions lately, I've just been working on like, just recalibrating and just being like, because I'm right now, like 2023 was a super transitional year for me. Like I went through a lot of loss. So just recalibrating like what that means and allowing myself to feel those feelings. But like, it's like you said about like just getting more in tune with yourself. Like that recalibration isn't for good or for bad, but it's really just to like take onus and autonomy of my life and say that like I'm in control, and, you know, I say recalibrate, but just recalibrate.
Yeah. Having someone to talk to is so important. I have, she's not like my accountability partner by any means, but like in regards to like what I do professionally, like I talk to her every single day because she does what I do. And if I didn't have her to speak to every single day, someone who knew what it was that I was going through, then I mean, I certainly wouldn't be doing what I'm doing professionally, because it would have been too much had I not had a release as such.
We all need a sounding board. Someone that can listen with, you know, out bias and, you know, offer advice when you need it, but also just to listen. Like, I think that sometimes my therapist, like, sometimes I'm like, now, what do you think? Because she's just silent and she's just letting me go. I'm like, I just gave you a 15-minute dump of my life the past 2 weeks. And I'm like, all right, now you can go. Like, I've released it all. So, yeah, I think all that stuff is so important. Everybody needs somebody. And you don't want to overwhelm your friends and family all the time. Or even if they are in different fields than you know, they don't always understand the complexity of situations. Like, I learned to stop talking to my mom about news a long time ago. She just doesn't get it. Like I don't know if my mom could tell you. Like, she could tell you that I'm a reporter, but if you ask her like what my day-to-day looks like, I don't, because I stopped doing that a long time ago, just because I'm like, I don't want to burden her with my ups and downs of my profession, you know? So you just learn to be selective about who you share with. So my therapist is a great sounding board for that as well.
So, question for you.
Sure.
You had talked about not overwhelming your friends or overwhelming your family.
Yeah.
What about the person you're dating?
I think that goes hand in hand too. I think you want to be cognizant of dumping on anybody that's close to you, whether you're romantic or platonic or familial. I just think that goes across the board, that like I want to enjoy my friends and family. And yeah, I know that they'll be there to support me if I need to, but I don't always want it to be a constant. Like, you don't want to be the Debbie Downer of the, family or friend group or relationship. So I think working through some of those issues, of course, everybody wants advice. Everyone's got to like reach out to those closest to them and say, hey, what do you think about this situation? But not 24/7, 7 days a week, you know?
It's so helpful to have what I view as someone that can help you through the different things that are going on in your life. It's funny, I always talk to certain friends when I want certain answers.
You I'm not going to be able to say that word. Now I lost it.
Compartmentalize them?
Compartmentalize.
There you go.
To take a moment away from it and then come back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll literally be like, all right, do I want support?
Yeah.
Do I want pushback? Do I want to be challenged to think more about it? And I have each one of my different friends that I call.
Me too. My two best friends, there's three of us. We're a trio. We all met in college. Yeah. And my one best friend lives in Columbus and my other best friend lives here. And my best friend that lives here, love her to death. But she is just not the friend you go to when you are like emotional, because she's just like, she's a Cancer herself. And she's just like, I don't know what you want me to do about this. Like, I don't know. And then my friend in Columbus is more logical, and she's like, okay, well, let's work through this. Let's talk through this. Like, so it's like you said, different strokes for different folks, and you have different friends for, different areas of life.
Yeah. Now, speaking to the work that you're doing now, and how many people are you able to talk to that are able to relate to what it is that you've got going on a day-to-day?
In my life?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I would say that I have built a circle of friends that are also in the industry. So those are the people that get it.
Yeah.
The people that get it, you know? I don't try to force people. Just because, like, I wouldn't want someone trying to force me to, like, understand engineering. Yeah. I'm like, I have no desire to do that. So I think I do reserve those kind of, like, media or hosting conversations for the people that are doing it. Yeah. But that also comes into play with, like, growth and, advancement. Like, you want to be around people that are doing what you're doing at higher levels, so you get more experience and more out of it. So I'm like, you've gone through this before, so tell me how you navigated this situation, or, how you would navigate this situation if it happened at your station, or vice versa. And the Cleveland media community is so small, so we all kind of know each other, and it's nice that we have a camaraderie. Like, there are so many organizations that bring us media professionals together. So it's been nice.
It reminds me of something that Jada Taylor had said on her episode, and that was, we're talking about dating, and she said, there are just some guys that don't get it. Yeah. And if they don't get it, and you're not going to be able to get them to understand it, she goes, that's where it's cut. Yeah. That's where it's cut.
Yeah. It's navigating dating as a front-facing person is tricky, because you don't. Everybody, I won't say everybody. I want my partner to be obsessed with me. I want you to be my biggest champion. I want you to love it, but I don't necessarily want you to be a fan. Like, there's a very thin line that is teetered between, like, yes, I support my partner, and being a fan. So that's on one hand. And then two, you get the other thing too. I have a tendency to date creatives. So I feel like you run into, like, don't compete with me. Like, we are in our own separate lanes and we can cheer each other on, but, like, you shouldn't be trying to, like, one up me. Like, what? Like, let's share the stage. Let's make it a duet and not like a versus battle. Okay, like, so I think that it can be tricky, and I agree. Like, as soon it's like an ick. Like, it's like as soon as you fangirl over me, I'm kind of like, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Like, I need you to take a step back.
Yeah. It's a very thin line. Like I said, it's hard to even kind of articulate it because it's just a feeling. Because, like, again, we all want to feel that support, but as soon as it's like it wavers just a smidgen, I'm like, ugh.
Yep.
So
balance.
We'll figure it out one day. It's fine.
Navigating the dating world, I think it's fun. You know, I have the view of abundance. I think that it's super nice to not know, especially because, like, I don't have a girlfriend right now. I'm not dating anyone. So I am of the mindset where it's like, well, who knows what's going to happen, when. And a lot of these people who I've seen in relationships that choose to, talk about them or vocalize them. And more times than not, people vocalize the things that aren't great rather than the things that are great. It's like they're just not in a position that sounds like fun or enjoyable. And I'm like, isn't the whole point of dating someone to have like a wonderful time when you're where you're sharing experiences, doing amazing things with them? Isn't that what you want?
That is the whole point.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a built-in best friend that just so happens to think I'm cute.
Right.
That's it. Like, let's do everything together and then, let the romance happen organically, But I feel like that's, for me, has been hard to find.
Yeah. It's tough. I'm like, I don't think I'm far off from like anyone else that would talk about this, but it's like I'm really big on like, obviously physical attraction first. And then after that, I think my issue is that I idealize someone and kind of make them up to be someone that they are not before I actually get to know them. And it's a terrible thing because whether it's the build up to the point of, that next hangout, then I'm either like I'm hanging out with someone who I don't even know who I think that I know.
Right.
And that's not right. I shouldn't be doing that. So that's one thing that like I've been working on myself, which is basically like dating slower. Which just means basically taking it in the speed that it should and not making them into something that I think that they are or that I want them to be.
Yeah. In your past, have you been more of a casual dater or are you a relationship kind of guy?
I would say it's always been more of relationships.
Me too. I'm the same way. I meet people. I consider myself an introvert who's selectively extroverted. So for me, I meet people and I always tell people I'm a vibes person. So I can tell within like the first minute of talking to someone like whether or not we're going to vibe or not. So for me, when it comes to like romantic partners, finding someone that like I can coexist with on a day-to-day basis and then not give me the ick or be awkward is finding a needle in the haystack. So when I meet people, I'm like, oh, I like you. Like, we're attached. Like, this works. This is great. And that's how I end up in relationships. Like, I'm not a casual dater. I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's fun. People ask me, like, one of the questions, like, on my Instagram is like, are you still single? And I'm like, yes, but dating in Cleveland has not been fun. Like, I don't enjoy it. And I mean, I got out of a relationship at the top of the year. I think most people know that. Neither here nor there, but dating has not been fun. Like, but I definitely took like 6 months to just like focus on me. Like, I'm like, I gotta get back in the mindset of being outside again. Like, it's definitely a transition. But it's I don't enjoy dating. Like, you have to find me. Like, for anyone, if you want to take your girl out on a date, like, find me and either we connect or we don't. Like, I'm not on the apps either. Like, the apps just don't do it. No. Like, it's very weird. Like, I'm like, I need to see what you look like in person. I need to feel your energy, your vibe, how you dress on a normal day-to-day basis. There's so many factors that go into it that I don't think can be conveyed on an app.
100%. Because when you think about it, all of these apps are text-based. So there's no tone. There's no understanding of who this person is. And I would say that more times than not, there's either one or the other that is like you may both agree, yeah, let's meet up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's hang out. But then you get to the point of like actually doing it. It's like, do I want to?
Yeah. If you do not get me outside, it's not going to happen. Like,
Exactly.
It's literally just not. And like, I'm so busy that my friends will say I'm the worst texter on the face of the earth. Do not put me in a group chat. Do not ask me, call me. Like, if you want a direct answer from me, call me. You're more likely, or voice notes. Like, yeah. But even that has to be an established relationship. Yeah. So it's very complex how to get in touch with me.
No, I love hearing that because I'm the same way. Like, don't get me wrong. I like texting and in its own weird way, like when I'm texting someone that I'm talking to, like I do get that validation through these text messages that are coming in.
Initially though? Or after?
Initially.
Well, that's different. Okay.
Initially. But then what's tough is that it's going to fizzle out at some point. Okay. And not be to the extent that it was. Because, with a lot of these things, I'm starting out at 100.
Yeah. I get it.
And it can't go to 150. Right. Like it's max at 100.
Right.
Which maybe it's the type of girl that I'm going for, and that's why it's that. But literally, it'll like start to tame down, and I'll be like, oh, I just like, is it fizzling out? Like, am I reading this right? Yeah. And then I get into my own head, and then.
But I think that like. That's when like personal like dates and stuff have to come into play. Like we have to supplement our texting conversation with some type of in-person stimulation. Like that's why I don't think I can necessarily meet someone and like do long distance because like I need to like see you face to face and if you're not a FaceTime person or if you're not, willing to put in that effort to like establish that initial connection, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, but to your point, I love talking on the phone too. Mm-hmm. There was someone that I was talking to and I said, hey, like texting's like fun and all, but I also like don't necessarily have the time nor interest to
sit on my phone all day.
Yeah. So I said, could we like tone down the texting and just like talk more? Yeah. She was not about it. She was not about it. She was, you're an old man.
But that's how people don't know how to hold a conversation.
Exactly. Well, and it showed me, who she was and what she was looking for versus what I wanted.
Right.
And then I was like, oh.
We are not compatible.
Exactly.
So let's move on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Compatibility is so big. And I sometimes think that it can be overshadowed by initial attraction and shared experiences, because just because you guys meet and have fun and have a great time doesn't mean you're compatible. I think if I learned anything from my last relationship, that was the one takeaway. We were just not compatible. We had so much fun, had a blast, so many great times, so many great photos. If you saw us, we were fashion icons, but not compatible. Yeah. So you just move on. You accept that and move on. Doesn't make either of us a bad person. It just, we weren't compatible.
Yeah. Well, I feel better. I feel like I went through a little therapy session. There you go. That's awesome. All right. I mean, can you believe it's basically been an hour?
Holy smokes.
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because it's my favorite question. What makes Kierra smile?
So there are two things that come to mind. The first, and I think they kind of go hand in hand. The first is spending time with my siblings. I think being a sister is one of the best titles that I have. My brother, we're 8 years apart, and my sister's 16 years apart. So my sister's a freshman in high school, and my brother is a senior in college, which is crazy. So being able to watch them grow up and spend time and share experiences with them, just seeing them grow and evolve, that makes me smile. And then also creating memories with the people that I love. Those two things, I think that, again, they go hand in hand, but like people that I love encompasses like my friends, my coworkers, like the validation of having a good show with the Cavs, like just those core memories, those moments where you're like, wow, like that felt good. That makes me smile.
Where can they find you?
I am on all the social media channels. Kierra Cotton, first name, last name, Kierra, like Sierra Miss, but with a K, and then Cotton like the fabric.
Awesome. You are such an inspiration. The amount of success that you've had up until this point and what you will continue to see as you really just grind it out, whether that be in Cleveland, whether that be in Chicago, wherever that is. I think people are going to be able to take a look at this and say, you know, wow, she is comfortable with who she is, but is also forever growing.
Yeah.
And I think that combination is beautiful and something that a lot of people will never truly understand what it means to go through.
Yeah.
So hold that as tight as you possibly can, because I think in some cases, and for lack of a better word, it's like that's your X factor. It's what the Cleveland Cavaliers saw in you when you were applying to be an in-game host. So I want to thank you so much for coming on. It means the world to me, everything that you said about me and about this project that I've started. So thank you so much.
Hell, thank you so much for having me. And I meant every word. Seriously, what you're doing is incredible. So just happy to be a small piece of it.